Good afternoon and welcome to your weekly and favorite current affairs program, 60 Minutes Nigeria. It promises to be another exciting day. On today's program, we'll be looking at the plight of Nigeria from the effects of the NAIRA scarcity, or other persons put it as NAIRA note shortage. Some persons says NAIRA crunch. My name is Egosa Agbolao. Whichever way you look at it, Nigerians are wallowing in pains. Though the problems associated with the NAIRA note shortage seem to be abating, we have correspondents from different states of the country, and as the filing reports, yes, in some cases, the queues have reduced, but in other cases, some persons need to wake up as early as 4 a.m. to trunch the commercial banks in order to get numbers. This was not the case. This is abnormal. And, but they need to do that for citizens to have access to cash. Some other persons say there's a limit to what they can withdraw, that despite the problems, despite the queues, despite the fact that they need to get to the banks as early as possible, they are not giving exactly what they want to withdraw. Well, I have my guest today. I have with us the State Chairman, Nigeria Society of International Law, Edo State Chapter, a notary public of Nigeria, and a political and human rights activist, Barrister Patrick Isekwene. Nice to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Because I'm yes, the happy viewing.
Okay, we also have with us a very highly respected, renowned clergyman, and of course, a renowned analyst, a regular face on the program, Dr. Emeka Ekuga. Nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Agbalaho. Nigerians, thank you for
I'm
your
going to
patience.
start this program by saying, how is your offerings now?
A very wonderful question.
Yes.
Of course, you know that the NAIRA scarcity have been biting so hard.
Okay.
And my fellow Nigerians,
Yes.
every one of us, including you.
Exactly.
I was wondering why the policy, even if Nigeria, I mean the CBN, the presidency, they had good intention to make sure that things are nominalized when it comes to our currency, the NAIRA. But the timing was too wrong. Do I say we are not matured enough to, you know, function in this kind of policy? But be that it may be, we are managing. We are moving forward. When it comes to offering or whatsoever in the church, it depends on you and your God. That's just the truth. When God makes provisions for you, whichever way, you appreciate him. And that is how it is everywhere. But when it talks about the hardship the Nigerian currency has brought to the masses, it's biting too hard. It's biting too hard. And I pray God to help us, that the government to come should be able to put things right to enable Nigerians to survive.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
I know that Dr. Emeka is a little bit evasive, but the message is clear. Before now, persons or members of the church need to go to the church with currency notes and give offerings. But now, that's not the case. You need to go with your card, and not all churches will have ATM, and they will not even want to do that because some persons may read very negative meanings to the use of ATM machines, or POS machines rather. I was going to say a POS machine in the church hall. Well, I know Dr. Emeka will talk more on that because I'm going to probe him to talk more on that. Okay, so Barrister Patrick Isekwene, you are a lawyer. We understand that the reasons why the CBN now eventually agree with the Supreme Court judgment of allowing the old notes, the old NAIRA notes, to get back into circulation. It's just CBN needed to obey the Supreme Court judgment. But the issue is this. what the CBN did and what Nigerians are facing now, how can you explain it?
Well, it's a very terrible situation where we find ourselves. Well, it's an eye-opener for any president to appoint or allow the CBN governor, appoint a CBN governor who is a politician. A case study is Mifili. He was one of those presidential aspirants, those who bought the 100 million naira fund. And such a man, by Nigerian nature, he can do and undo to influence, to favor some political, some here and here. It's more or less a politician. That's what we saw. Now, you see, I'm not against the designing of the currency.
Okay.
But it is crystal clear by virtue of Section 2B, 2B of the CBN Act, okay, 2007, gives power to CBN to design, reproduce, and circulate currencies. Okay. It is their main duty. It is their job within the ambit of the law. Okay. You understand me? So, because it's autonomous, but it cannot undo. So, again, the same Act 2, I think it's Section 17, Section 17, 2A and B, okay, also give power for the CBN governor to seek the authority directly from the president, okay, over such resigning. Okay. That does not mean that the president is in charge of CBN. It's not, because CBN is more or less autonomous body, just like INEC. Okay. It's autonomous body. Okay. You cannot control them. So what I'm going to say is that the man is, from my own opinion, he misled the president, he misled Nigerians by his so-called resigning. Remember that 3 months ago I was in this studio. Yes. I was against it. Yes. That is going to cause hardship to the common man, the masses. I said it here, that the advantage is going to be, the disadvantage is more than an advantage. This common man will suffer. It's going to bring serious problem to the nation. That's what we found ourselves today. Today, it's like, see, like putting fire, burning fire. For a certain point, you don't know how the fire will go. That's where the man finds himself. Today, he cannot quench the fire. It's beyond the CBN governor. It's beyond him. Today, everything, you cannot control the issue of the money issue. It's gone beyond them. If not, we thank God. We thank God to all those 5 governors led by 5 governors. They went to Supreme Court, along with Tinubu, who they are the same clique. Say, go to court. Remember that we are the ruling government. We must challenge it. That where things are going, the suffering is too much. This one be extended. The Supreme Court, out of their own wisdom, now push it to December. If not, then by now, I speak with you, go to bank. If they will give you 50,000 naira or 40,000 naira or 100,000 naira, if you are lucky, you're lucky, you're subjective. You will not see one naira new note. It's old notes. If you have to depend on the new currency note, yes, by now you'll be buying 10,000 naira with 5,000 naira. By now, or even 6,000 to buy 10,000. That's right. I'm telling you. But thank God the Supreme Court were able to say, let it both be used. Yes. That's saving grace to live to mitigate our suffering. Because I mean, this time around, that's why the havoc of the CBN governor also made our own president to embarrass himself before the entire community of the nation, whereby he, after the Supreme Court have given order, he went and made a selective on his own that only 200 naira should be used. That's what the president said, and they should allow other ones to exist. You see, what the president said is laughable. Because CBN is an autonomous body. The president has no powers. Even that is covered under Section 308, has immunity. By now, they've got starting from 48 and 49 to go to prison. But he has immunity, because what he's done is not varying Supreme Court's order. That only, you know what I mean? So, they went back to court again over this order. And last order of the court, they voided this statement, the Supreme Court voided it, and warned him, and told him like that, allow everything to coexist. And the more explain, oh, president have not talked, president have not talked. Go to market, they reject your money. Go to the reject, president have not talked. I kept on telling them, his president is not in position to talk, he's belittling himself. Yes. It's the CBN. It's like issue of election. It's not the chairman that talks issue of election, not the president. Yes. You don't expect the president can never, the one he did was a mistake on his leg, and the president can never do that mistake again. Because it's not the CBN governor, it is the duty for the CBN governor to give directive. You saw, there was a lot of talk that, oh, it's because of the election. Yes. That's why they are, after election, it's money everywhere. I told them that is a lie. You see, it's a lie. But appear not here. No, I know that I tell them, well, let the election come and go. It's probably going to remain. It don't have nothing to do with the election. The man misled the president out of his own intention. Because let me tell you, once you find those in authority, play politics. You have to be aware of them. Even if you are a judge, you are playing politics, beware of them. They are not politics. Some people play politics. You're talking, that's the truth of the matter. You not put everybody under fire. I said this fire now is beyond CBN governor. You cannot quench it too. So you cannot quench. We're in serious trouble. You are turned on your side down. But that, no, let me finish, sir. You are turned on your side down. We're in serious problem. It's not you laugh over. The hardship there is something else. When you go to a bank now, like a market. If you're a businessman, you're just like here, you are here. How do you have to start, go to bank by 5 o'clock in the queuing? It's not possible. Nobody can turn that fire. When there's a serious problem because of the issue of not availability of the money, the CBN governor cannot even do anything beyond him. They now say schools now, oh, some of the bankers have their POS. That is why, has BIS not been existing before this morning? Have not been signing money before? Is it the first time they change money? It's not the first time. Don't go with all the greenness of the CBN governor. That's why we find ourselves in a helpless situation. So I believe that this administration cannot even solve this problem again because they don't know where to start from. Okay. They are confused. Okay, but I believe that no administration that will come because I believe that Tinubu is right now. He's thinking of there, I might lack of this problem. That's why you be thinking right to where Tinubu is. It's not a joking matter because it's beyond CBN. Last time they get directive that, oh, they should work by weekend to let us have money. Yes, Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, I was one of the banks. Let me mention First Bank. Go and find my other branch. Airport Road, because I dare not go to Ring Road. That place is a market. I dare not go to that place. So people will see people lying down, they're people sitting down. You'll be scared. I went to Airport Road. Do you know that I was able to make my way to the counter? When I fee for 200,000 naira, they said, "Organize 10,000 will give you." That was Sunday of it too. Organize 10. I said, then let me reduce to 100. Organize soon. 50. I thought it was a joke. Don't you know? They said 50. It's directive. I said, lawyer, I know what directive means. I said, well, let me collect. It's just too bad. I'll go to counter to collect 10,000 naira. I will go to counter PS to collect 10,000 naira. What I mean is that PS can't even pay for that day again. No. After giving 10,000, I tried the PS, nothing. Rejected my decision. Because they showed that I collected 10,000 for that day. So it's funny what Father said. CBN get directive that you can withdraw as much as 100 for a week. Compare 500,000 naira. No one is even obtainable. You can have 20,000 naira for where? Which one did you see? So if you get 5,000, you are lucky. If you get 10,000, you are lucky. You just try a luck these days. That's what they are doing. Some banks now, they don't even for the past 1 week, no money. Thank you, Barrister. We'll
let me just get something out of what Barrister have just said. Yes. You know, he said the CBN governor, CBN being autonomous, and by law, yeah. The CBN governor is the only one that can give directives and whatever. That even the president cannot give directive. The one he tried, it was an error. And he won't make the mistake again. But let me interject in that area. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is commander-in-chief of staff. He is #1 in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And at the same time, he is the one that appointed the CBN governor. So I don't subscribe that the president cannot come up and make some good remarks or comments as regard to this money crunch. Reason is because if Mr. President comes up and tells Nigerians this is how directions things ought to be, I am very sure, I am very convinced the CBN, be it as it may be, will be able to follow the directives. Barrister, I don't know if I'm trying to bring something out of this, because our problem in this country is that everybody is keeping quiet, especially Mr. President. That is our problem. If Mr. President is able to come up and hit some matters at the beginning, it won't get to this point. Because everybody in this country ought to obey him. There was a law he signed the other time with presidential immunity. Is it, what do you call it in the law? When you sign a particular executive bill? Bill or whatever, he can stand on that office and make a comment that so thing should be, and it will be. But keep him quiet and allowing those managing the finance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to keep trading on us. I mean, it is uncalled for. Dr. Emeka, I want to thank you. We'll just take a brief break now. Yes. This will enable us to introduce our third guest, Dr. Maxwell Osage, and the conversation will continue. Okay, what a delight to have you back on the program, and we are also glad that you're spending your 60 minutes with us on the program, or part of your 60 minutes with us. Just joining us is a very popular face on the program as well,
a lecturer, a statistician, and a very renowned analyst. Dr. Maxwell Osage, nice to have you with us.
Nice having you.
Yeah, before you joined us,
constantly.
Barrister Patrick Isekwune, who is a notary public, and of course the state chairman of the Society of International Law, told us that from sections of the Constitution that the CBN enjoys some autonomy, and that the CBN actually has the powers to have redesigned the notes and all that has happened. Yes, but looking at what has happened, the policy of the CBN, to you, has it had great positive effect on the plight of Nigerians?
Okay, I think before I would dive into the last question you asked, let me react to what the barrister said earlier. Now, saying that, yes, they have some, let me call it immunity, in terms
level of
autonomy, of not being disturbed over what they do. That is no from the angle of the board perspective. Because the CBN is not a CBN without some representative from the federal government and some state government that form that particular board. Now, that was why when the Minister of Finance was raising that issue of her not being aware, they made it clear to her that you cannot be saying you are not aware when by the statutory board of the CBN, the what do you call them? Secretary, permanent secretary. Is a member of that board. So by virtue of that, permanent secretary is under you, so he is fully aware. So now when we say yes, they have some level of, see, my greatest problem is the law in this country. And the lawyers interpreting it. Because if you say they have autonomy in terms of carrying out their operation and everything, the interference we see here and there, what do you call that? Now you can attest to the fact, if you say they have autonomy like, the governors, like the normal governors that we have, that the federal government cannot just decide what they do within their state. I don't think that is fully invoked in a CBN way of operation. Because if you follow the suit that the three governors, El-Rufai, what's his name? The Kogi governor, Bello, and Matawale, something like that, Matawale, three of them, they sued. They didn't sue the CBN. They sued federal government over the policy of the CBN. Now, when the Supreme Court, which we call the embodiment of the law, because whatsoever they judge becomes part of the law. So if the Supreme Court, by their own wisdom, says that, okay, now you have sued federal government and they recognize that federal government, now a CBN is just like other agency under federal government. So how do you explain that? I think that's where we need him to break down proper. Because CBN was not sued, and at the end of the day, the federal government was sued, and Supreme Court compared the CBN, which was not sued, through the federal government, that the NAIRA policy of removing the old NAIRA note substituting end of what? December. So how do you explain that they have, is that autonomy? What kind of interpretation of autonomy are you saying? If I have to tell federal government on that. Now, on the policy, has it had effect? Yes, there is effect. Is it that we look at it from the positive aspect of it, or we look at it from the negative aspect of it? Now, but however, when the negative aspect, statistically, when the negative aspect outweighs the positive aspect, he becomes like anti-people. Not that the policy is not good. It's one of the best policy I've seen in recent times, to be frank. Because we are not banana republic, where somebody will just wake up and say, hey, bank, give me 20 million naira. Even, you're getting it. It looks like we are banana republic. Somebody will just wake up and tell you, I need 150 million in my house right now. And you just give it. Even among the government agency, you go there. Now, you heard recently when there was a meeting of all the Nigeria Governors Forum along with the monetary fund agency.
Okay.
Now, what was the issue? What was the issue? The issue was the security vote by the government.
Yes.
That they said they cannot withdraw that money again. Now, imagine a governor just sitting down in his room. You ask for 2 billion to be withdrawn in cash to you. Now, why would you do the undo? Now, why would there be a kidnapping? Why would there be a ransom for payment when you have money in circulation in that kind of manner? Now, if you kidnap me and you know that I can't even get you 20,000. Okay, let's say if you kidnap me, you are requesting for 500,000, and you know it will take me a month to get 20,000. What kind of business is that? You will just give up. So it's because there are so negativity associated with this money everywhere. It's making our naira not to be strong. So now it's one of the best policies. However, we understand that the implementation was somehow 40. And I know why they wanted to do that. The main reason was to ensure that there was no vote buying. That was the hasty nature of that implementation. Any other
But they are yet to comment on that.
I leave those things.
They are yet to make that public. People are just insinuating.
We know where we hold meeting, and we know what and what and what.
Okay, we'll ask you about such meetings.
Let me react.
Yeah, no, you react, but we'll take another break because of headlines, and after that, the barrister is loaded. You need to really give us a lot of legal perspective to today's discussion, and legal interpretation, legal lexicon must be released by him today so that we can really understand. But I must commend Dr. Maxwell. I thought he's a statistician. He's just told us that, yes, the policy must be commended from the security angle and from other aspects in terms of the policy seem to help curb money laundering, seem to help reduce money in circulation, because simple economics, when you have there's too much money in circulation, inflation can just pick up, you know. So he's looking at it from that angle, but a lot need to be discussed, and that will be after this break. Nice to have you back. It is 60 Minutes Nigeria. My name is Ego Sagbonlao. I have with me Barrister Patrick Isekwene. I also have with us a renowned clergyman, Dr. Meka Ekuga, and of course, a lecturer in academia, Dr. Maxwell Osage. Now, before the break, Dr. Maxwell Osage talked about the good aspect of the policy, the redesigning of the currency by the CBN, and some of the good effects of that policy, though he expressed reservation on its implementation. And Barrister Patrick Isekwene, you were itching to react.
Yeah,
so
sure.
What comments you have?
Yes, I have to include both, because it was also, before he came,
yes,
it was a similar question. So
exactly.
like that, the same side of argument. Yes, so what I want to say rightly, because
yes.
there's a margin in law, it's called durane laissez. The law is harsh, but law is law. It's not meant to make sweet, make sugar beautiful to the way you want it. Law is law. That is the position of CBN, the law guiding CBN. Now, the issue is that I told you that CBN has full responsibility over the issue of resigning, production, whatever, over the money circulation. That is their power. Now, nobody, it's autonomous body. Not even president can change it. You see, he has no business consulting the president who carry out his decision. I told you that Section 17 is a constitutional provision of the under the CBN Act. You must consult the president when the issue of resigning comes in. Okay. That was what he did. Based on that's the only thing around. The president cannot control him. That's why even Minister of Finance has no control over CBN. I know you'll be shocked to hear this. It's autonomous body. Minister of Finance. Now the board that constitutes CBN, we know that becomes suspicious the role of the CBN governor played. It becomes suspicious. Now, yeah, the Minister of Finance is they have a statutory body. The minister, when he's not there, can be represented by his permanent secretary from office of the Minister of Finance.
Yes.
It's an office. Yes, I mean, he's as a board member. Yes, I mean, then if maybe they took this decision. What the Minister of Finance suggests as for me that they are not feeling aware. Yeah, by law, CBN Act, you don't need to. You are the one is talking with you because it's only the president can consult with based on the constitution. Power given to them. They have no business consulting you. But if you are during the CBN board meeting, you can talk generally. But whenever they go to activities, Minister of Finance has no power over them. It's just like INEC. It's an independent body. Okay. Whatever the INEC chairman is, that is his own headache. You know what I mean? That's what is appointed by the president. You were here when the election was supposed for the next 1 week. It was an election, not the president. It's a autonomous body. So what I'm trying to say is that the government has no business, like the federal government, the president now, to say you must do. No. Now, once people get judgment, when the order of is given, it's bound in all principalities, including witches and wizards, you must be obeyed. But that's CBN, but everybody's bound by it. Yes. Once CBN give order, now
well, the Supreme Court.
Yeah, once Supreme Court, now I say where court, when I say court, Supreme Court give order, you must obey. So CBN is part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay. It's not a you must obey. Now, you see, what the man trying to meet the president over the court judgment, no, it's autonomous body. It's to we are a bit confused. This is coming from CBN. You know that CBN was never sued at the Supreme Court. The reason being that they know they need to get results. See, what they did was to remove CBN as a party. Because if you don't remove CBN as a party, the Supreme Court will have jurisdiction. Okay. Not to get results quickly, we have to draw CBN, sue his master. That is federal government. Yes. That's what they did. So, because going to the Supreme Court is a case between state and the federal government. Yes.
Yeah. First point of
yes. If you put CBN, then you go back to federal.
You go to
federal high court. And when you go to federal high court, you take time. Over with them. Over it, you appeal. From appeal to Supreme Court, it will go. Don't need. Drop. Carry his father.
So that was a smart.
Yeah. That's what they did.
So they removed.
So that was why it's not directly connected to CBN.
Yes.
But they're going to his father. Let's sue his father. Yes. Leave him. The father might talk to the son. Yes. That's what they did. So that's why government pronouncement was not directly on CBN because government cannot give it to you and not a party to the suit. That was what to give jurisdiction and have a quick result of what they did. That's why the Supreme Court said yes, they are in order. Even if so the CBN is not here, they are the agency of a federal government which is being sued.
Yes.
So it cannot get financial. So we are comfortable with it. So government give the gift now bind on the federal government by extension CBN. Okay. So at the end of the day, they have to obey the order, not to run foul of the law.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we need to correct some areas of the suit here. Okay. To be frank, in that case, both federal government and CBN was sued. This was where we felt that the Supreme Court, because I followed this up totally to a logical conclusion. Now, one of the reasons why people were saying that would not stand was because it ought to, just like he explained, any case that you take to Supreme Court, it has to be between federal government and state. It's the first point of call. There's a way they call it in law. It's the first point of their first case jurisdiction. Now, but in this case of the CBN and federal, they actually added the CBN to that suit. Is there, it was open. So that was why they were saying initially that the Supreme Court lacked, if you remember Malami, the first statement was that the Supreme Court lacked the jurisdiction for that case. But after more pressure, we were told by law that the Supreme Court is a court of policy, not a court of technicalities. Right now, if you listen to is this legal luminary, Agbakoba, is one of the issues that he was slugging in recent time. If you followed his last interview, Agbakoba said that he's worried, and the reason why people are so worried over the Supreme Court judgment that we are not seeing that is conflicting is that you see the one they are saying, the Supreme Court governor in Imo, Now, the one that blew everybody's mind, that threw everyone off balance, was the case of the Lawa versus the Michi.
Okay.
The Senate guy who was duly nominated. But the case got to the guy won at the lower court, one at the Supreme Court. The court
one at the appeal court.
At the appeal court. The case went to Supreme Court. We were surprised that the Supreme Court was looking at technicality rather than looking at policy. So Supreme Court is a policy body, and that policy is what they brought to bear in the case of those state governors and the federal government, along with the CBN. Now, because it's a court of policy, now they look at it from an angle of, is this policy favorable or not? It's not looking at the technicality aspect. Because if they have looked at the technicality, they lack jurisdiction to look at that case proper. So they look at the policy. Now, in law, they made it clear that the Supreme Court reserved the right to look at cases like that when it comes to policy. That was why they entertained that case. If not, they wouldn't have on a normal ground. Because that was the first statement of Malami, that the Supreme Court lacked jurisdiction to entertain that case. Now, if you also follow that up, when there was an issue, Zekomen filed a case on the PDP challenging, there was one case lately, so they quickly withdrew that. With INEC, they sued federal government, INEC and everything. They now quickly withdrew that because they knew quite all right that the Supreme Court will not entertain such case. They will say, let it follow the tribunal process of result
okay, but I would like us to leave the aspect of this legal technicality.
Yes.
So that we look at, now the policy is already there.
It's already there.
The NAIRA no shortage. Some persons are saying, okay, the queues are reducing. But the queues are reducing does not mean that policy did not tumble.
What queue is reducing?
Okay, that's what some persons that's what some persons are saying. Now, but that does not take away the fact that
in the case where you go to bank, you are still number 80. Is that a reduction?
Okay, so you can't take away the fact that the policy has tumbled the existing norm in Nigeria. Now, how do I mean? We've had POS before now.
Yes.
Where you go collect money and POS will charge you maybe 100 naira or 200 naira, as the case may be. But now, there's allegation now that at the different ATM galleries, ATM centers, you have POS people or some persons operating POS by the corner.
Queuing up.
So if you are unable to use the bank ATM machine,
you use
POS, which belongs to a private
so we have flogged this before now.
Yes.
That even the bank, see, an average Nigeria is corrupt. This is no issue of federal government now or CBN.
Even
issue.
the staff of the
bank. Staff of the bank are the most corrupt people. Right now, as we speak, do you know that those POS that you are talking about, they emanated from the banks? They didn't just come from the moon. They emanated from the bank.
Okay,
so now they do business with them. Reducing. Before now, you don't see money in ATM because they want to make money. So the issue is not CBN. Now we understand that something was
I'm
done.
trying to talk about the policy
yes.
now. Now, for you to use POS now, you pay more compared to what existed before the introduction of the CBN policy.
Yes.
That's the point.
Is the policy favorable?
You and me now that is the issue, not the CBN governor. Because there is no direct mechanism to checkmate most of all these lapses that we see.
No, Doctor, there is something I wanted to bring out of this.
Okay.
Because by the time you look properly, the policy, like I said it earlier, was not really meant to be bad or hard to the nation Nigeria. You remember during this process of only 2,000, 5,000, if you even get 2,000, clap your hand and go home. There was nothing like kidnapping, collecting ransom, armed robbery and what have you, roadblocked, nothing of that nature. And but as soon as what do you call the
introduction of the old currency note again?
Now when the Supreme Court now comes up and say let both the old and new go in
circulation.
And before you know it, kidnapping and what have you started, coming up in a very serious way again. But where I'm trying to come in here, leave this area. Now, let's talk about how the money not being in circulation at all is biting hard on the people. And the Supreme Court have said, let this money be in circulation. And the central bank in their policy have said, so amount should be given to individuals. But up to this moment, you can see what is going on in the banks. Up to this moment, even the money that is supposed to be given to individuals is not even accessible. So what is going on? Has CBN now been able to obey the ruling of the
Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court? The answer is no. Because if the CBN governor pass a kind of a resolution that all the banks, BU whatever, should be able to give out money, this money belongs to us. I have money in the bank. I cannot have access to it. You have money in the bank. You can't have access to it. You go there in the morning, you stay there till evening, bank will close. You will end up queuing on the, ATM machine, and even at the end of the day, you can't have access to your money. Where are we heading to? What is the matter?
Well, I don't think, I will state year and year again.
Yes.
This is the issue. If you say CBA has not been able to obey that policy, we will not be seeing old NAIRA note in the public. So we see old NAIRA note in the public.
That is just the order.
But so that is obedience.
That's obedience to the court ruling. That's what that means. What we should be talking about now, how much of the old NAIRA note are in circulation? How much of the new NAIRA note are in circulation? That should be the bone of contention here, all our main discussion. Now, you and I know quite all right that the CBN made it clear to the Nigerians that the old NAIRA note has been what? Totally removed from circulation, burnt. We heard. And you saw one video that circulated.
Doctor, when they bought, in the last time they bought old NAIRA note, we saw it clearly. Everybody, almost everybody witnessed it. Barrister, I think I am online. Almost everybody witnessed it.
No, but we saw one. We saw one video that was trending.
It is very depend on social media video.
But we saw one video that was. I even watched it in a Rights TV where it was debated. The CBN didn't wake up overnight to debunk or to say that video was wrong or not wrong. So if you refuse to fault that video, it means by law, the lawyer is here. You did it. I want to know. There is a way they call it in law. Consent.
Let me come in.
Okay.
Let me come here. Sorry, let me just digress a bit. One, I come back to the main issue.
Okay, sir.
When you talk about the issue of Malami said,
yeah.
You see, Malami said the court lacked decision because CBN will never make the party. That's what you said. CBN was not actually sued. That was why you objected. Okay. Without objection, I want to make that one clear. And see, CBN as a body, after second thoughts, have to obey, not to rough out of the law, obey the order of the court, allow both to coexist.
No.
Now, you say something?
No, say your own.
I tried to get my memory back.
So what I'm getting my
memory back.
We are not in the court of law.
I'm getting my memory back.
I thought you were trying to give me hints. I thought you were trying to give me hints. So what I'm trying to say is that, you see, like I told you, the law is law. It's not meant to suit you. And when court makes their position known, you are bound to obey it, which Supreme Court has complied with. Now, let me tell you, you see, I'm not against the policy of NAIRA designing. I agree, based the part given to CBN 100%, they are not that. But I have a problem in the manner, the hastiness, the wrong timing. That's why we find ourselves in a mess. Like I told you, this is not the first time NAIRA is being resigned in Nigeria. No. We don't even hear no hula balloon. Quietly here and here, don't hear it. But because the politician is involved, forget about something as CBN man. You can be a CBN, you are a politician. You can be a judge, you are a politician. Don't just, that is why we are in a mess. He misled the president, the way he did it. What did he brought now? He have brought the National Committee to discrepancies.
I'm going to ask you one question before you continue.
Yes.
Because time is not our friend on this program.
Yes.
Now, there is one salient point that has not, it's in the public domain,
Yes.
but it has not been emphasized. Now, do you think the CBN governor, Emefiele, with the timing of the policy, implementation of the policy, do you think it can be said to have committed crime against humanity?
Yes, you see, and I told power being given to him, but you look at the law. He has not committed any crime against humanity. But the manner, the timing, see, this is the first time the history of Nigeria was born. To go to bank, they will give you 2,000 naira in your money. People suffered. What I mean, it's not yours, what I mean. So, but what is, I look as if he misled, he has a ulterior motive. Because he has not been the first CBN governor. And now they refined severally. This one now is even consuming more. There's a problem because now right away, the way I'm coming, right away as we speak now, let us be honest to ourselves. The banks, they are in serious problem. Nobody go to bank money again. Nobody go to bank nobody bring money to bank.
Many people are not interested.
If you have
where is the money to bank?
Where is the money to bank?
Where is the money to bank?
Let me tell you, they have to see the Nigerians, they know how to see. You see, experience teaches better. No, the money is there.
You know, we told them.
Tell you now. You know, we have the other money.
I'm using myself as an example.
Let me tell you.
They are not to bank.
Yes,
but before you continue, you know, we asked Dr. Emeka about I know the answer.
It's not when you have money you offer.
What's that? I'm an integral part of church setting. There is no offering.
No. It has been
money to
wait now. Then adult church, whether they take money to bank these days, when they got in. Adult churches, where they take money to bank?
I can tell you, there is no money to bank. There is no money.
Now, let me tell you, see, nobody takes, before every month, nobody. But what they have, that they preserve it. See, you are talking because you are not a businessman.
Yes.
But talking because you are not a businessman.
I'm a salary earner.
You got salary now. I mean those businessmen. That's what every day they carry bag.
Yes.
What they got
to the bank.
There are supermarkets who make good money. But today they keep their money. And I'm more big supermarkets. They don't take it about.
You carry cash to go and buy.
They keep carrying cash to go and buy. They don't have their nobody again. They said some business people they go to Lagos Street, go to some stop big they cash.
But that is something I want to.
Free suffering. Wait now, every month people come to back to collect. Everybody go to back to collect.
But there is something I want to bring in.
Yes.
Now, something is flashing through my mind.
Yes.
Take for instance, the central bank governor made a policy that is biting so hard on the masses.
Yes, so
common masses. Let me use the word common masses.
Yes.
Tinubu is in Europe now. Is it London? Is it France? I don't know. The other day will be traveled.
You must call him president-elect.
President-elect.
Don't just call him like that.
Office. Respect that office.
The other day, all of them in these categories has been traveling. How did they get their own money to buy ticket and all these things? But you and I here now, to buy fuel is a difficult thing.
It's part of what I wanted to tell you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
When you say
And
they give people 2,000,
us.
you and I, we know quite all right. I go, sir, take it or you leave it. Some of us never went to bank to get 2,000 naira. You can tell. This policy the bite you see in it was more of the poor. If you ask the clergyman, they still gave him over 50,000 naira during that crisis. So we know. So the point we are making here, and when you know,
because
we collected. None of us
is a politician.
But guess what? The point that I was trying to react to that point.
Yes.
Yeah. There is no Nigeria that is not a politician. Is either you are a politician by direct, primary, or you are a politician by indirect.
That's why I say CBN. I told you that's why I say CBN.
So I'm coming. Well, you see, there is nobody in this country that will say he or she is not a politician. See, all these people you see in different agencies and everything, they have allegiance to one thing or the other that has to do politically. So let's leave that political side aspect of it. What we should be saying, do we have a full Nigerian that has the will to drive policy to a logical conclusion that will be
Beneficial.
effective and beneficial to people.
The masses.
See, politics is everywhere. In your home, there is politics. In everywhere, there is politics. I think my greatest problem is that we hide under politics in this country in committing atrocity and put them as politics. Politics exists as a normal way of life. But what we should be looking at, the will for individual as a politician to drive the economy to a logical conclusion. Was it not somebody that came as a president and said the election that brought me to office was fraudulent, was mined with violence and everything? Was it not in this country Yaradua came in? Was it not in this country Yaradua said, yes, I've came in, they just increased fuel, he reduced fuel back again. All we need is someone with the will, someone with the mind, the heart of Nigeria to say we can be a patriotic Nigeria, not this politics thing and everything. All of us. Is it not the Bank of Industry guy that is striving now and everything? What's his name again?
Okay.
The Bank of Industry. Is it not a politician? Was it not a minister in the time of Goodluck Jonathan? Let's leave those things. What we should be discussing as Nigeria is that, do we have the capacity to make the needed change for a positive
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell. And I must thank all my guests because the director has just told me that our time is up. But wow, it's been a very wonderful program today. Barrister Patrick Sekwene, thank you very much. Dr. Emeka Ekuga, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I know that as a clergyman, you needed to be conservative. But we understand. So that the
barrister will not flog the office.
So we understand what is going on. Yeah. So Dr. Maxwell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We just hope that things will improve in the interest of the downtrodden, in the interest of the masses, in the interest of all Nigerians. Because when you are not able to get money, a lot happens, especially those who are seeking medical care, unable to pay medical bills. It could be very fatal. It could be very dangerous. Well, I know that the policymakers will surely be bothered as well, just the way we are. That's the program for this week. Thanks for being